All right. Hey there, everybody. Meteorologist Will Haney here. Coming on. It is 3:20 in the afternoon on Friday, March 6th, and we have some breaking weather news, if you will. Our first tornado warning of the day rolled out by the National Weather Service in northern Indiana. We're taking a look at that warning now, which does include Marcellus, Newburgh, and the far northwestern corner of St. Joseph County. So if you're in St. Joseph County, you might have just gotten this alert. Want to make it clear, if you're in Three Rivers, the city of Three Rivers not included in this, Constantine not included in this, Mendon, Ottawa not included in this. It is a very, very small portion of St. Joseph County that is included, but a larger portion of Cass County. It all has to do with this area of rotation that really lit up on radar very quickly right now, just south of Cassopolis. That's M62, I believe. Gosh, the glare in here is a little brutal. One second on my computer. Yeah, we were just getting situated. Keith and I were looking at this storm, and it's right along a warm front in kind of the right near the Michigan-Indiana line. So that's M62 near Calvin. This went over pretty close to Niles not that long ago, and it is tracking to the northwest. And I can get some more information on this, but this goes through 3:45 p.m. This is the first of what could be a few severe thunderstorms or possibly even tornado warnings. I will say, even in that last scan that just come down, the rotation isn't quite as significant as it was just a few minutes ago. If we do see any sort of tornadoes today, they're going to be generally short-lived, fairly weak tornadoes. I'm looking at a different radar product on my phone. That's why I'm looking down, and it looks like there could be some hail near Cassopolis, Penn, or Vandalia right now. Again, that's in Cass County. But yeah, still some rotation within this thunderstorm. This is not a confirmed tornado at this point. This is just radar-indicated rotation. And again, what we're looking at is that area of green and red that you see there on the map in the center of your screen. Let me make this a little bigger. My apologies. One second. I'm going to make the map larger so you all can see that a little better. And that is going to be tracking, again, towards like the Newburgh area, tracking off to the east and northeast. It'll eventually cross M60 down in Cass County and eventually push up towards Marcellus. And again, the very far northwestern sliver of St. Joseph County as well. So when we look at just the warnings, this is the polygon. You can see it includes Cass, St. Joseph County for radar indicated rotation and possibly some hail up to about 1 inch within that, which, as we were just mentioning, would be most likely near Penn or Cassopolis right now. So let me just see. This storm is tracking northwest at 35 miles per hour. So what I'll do now really quickly is just give us a look at the timing of things as this storm continues to push off. So that's what it looks like just on reflectivity on radar. Right now, if there was any sort of rotation trying to work its way down to the ground, it would be near Calvin, eventually lifting up towards Vandalia, Newburgh, Marcellus. So if you're in any of those locations, we don't, Cass County is kind of a funny county here because a lot of our viewers, we have viewers in Marcellus, and I'm not saying we don't have anyone that follows our page in Cass County. We do. However, Cass County is also St. Joseph, or is also South Bend TV market, so it's kind of funny in that way. So this technically only includes a very small sliver of St. Joseph County, where we have a little bit higher density of some of our viewers. But as we look, this is again tracking to the northeast at about 35. So I hate when that happens. 1 second. I've got to zoom out a little bit on this map. And Keith just went with a quick cut in on TV. If this holds its strength and it continues to push into St. Joseph County, again, that's technically our viewing area then at that point. We will stay on air wall to wall. We figured, though, this is a good secondary medium to do that. So there's the timing. Calvin, within a minute. Calvin, the rotation is right on top of you. In fact, you can really see that little kind of hook shape on radar. It's definitely maintaining its rotation. This storm was starting to spin a little bit, a little closer to South Bend. It weakened somewhat, and then that rotation kind of tightened up, strengthened as it pushed into Cass County near Niles. With how much low-hanging clouds there are today, these storm clouds could definitely look a little bit menacing. So definitely something to be mindful of. And I'm hoping that you all can hear me. I just realized if I could get just a comment confirming that you can hear me, that would be really helpful. I just realized that we had a different stream on in here a few minutes ago, and I'm really hoping that you can hear me. I'm trying to see if that's possible. Okay, I am seeing my mic level, so I think I'm good. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Now I'm going to get 100 of you saying that you can hear me. No, I hard to explain, but there's some settings in here where if we have a different stream on, it can mess with the settings. All right, so what we're looking at is that area near Calvin. If there was any sort of possible tornado, that is where it would be hanging out. This is called the inflow notch. That little area right there is where the rotation is kind of localized, but definitely present. I'm looking at a few different things here. Let me make sure that we don't have any info from the National Weather Service. Don't have anything new to report as far as any confirmed reports of anything. The last report was 10 minutes ago, which is what triggered the warning, which was the National Weather Service just again relaying that the rotation within this storm really tightened up. And Keith and I, like I said, we were watching this in the weather office, kind of getting our bearings for the evening. And all of a sudden, within a couple scans, this thing really started to rotate in a fashion where I was not shocked when they issued that tornado warning quickly with this. So again, this is just a different way of looking at it. This is now velocity. So what we're looking at here are those greens and reds closer together. That's looking a little messier than it once did. However, let me flip this to a slightly different velocity. And yeah, still some rotation noted near Calvin. It's a little south of Vandalia. So again, this is still in Cass County. It'll eventually be tracking towards M60 in Cass County and eventually up towards Newburgh, eventually Marcellus, if this thing holds together. But this warning goes until 3:45 p.m., as you see there. This is still for radar indicated rotation, so nothing confirmed on this at this time from spotters or law enforcement or anything like that. Let's kind of not step away, but I'm just going to talk briefly of what we're expecting for the rest of the evening. So our models stepping forward here. This cell, I won't say kind of popped up out of nowhere. It didn't. However, models are still honing in on a window from about, I'm going back in time for just a second. I would say from about 6 p.m. till 11 p.m. tonight. We'll have to really be on guard for more kind of similar storms to what we're dealing with now, but more linear storms. What I mean by that is lines of storms with some embedded possible areas of rotation. The risk categories from yesterday did not change. So today's severe weather outlook still suggesting all modes of severe weather are possible. It's essentially now through about 10 p.m. is our greatest window for some isolated storms capable of damaging winds, large hail, and then these weak, short-lived tornadoes, similar to the supercell storm that we're tracking just moments ago. So we just kind of want you to be weather aware. This is our first severe weather day of the season. It's still in the broad in the broad spectrum of severe weather. It is still a relatively low risk day. However, it's that first one of the year, and there's enough of a risk there that has our attention. Again, we're not wall to wall on air just yet because this is not technically. It gets a little weird. Cass County is not technically our viewing area, but once this continues to track off to the northwest, we'll probably, if it holds together, we will go on air. Keith will be live on air in just a few moments. But for now, we're going to continue to stream on Facebook and YouTube. And in a minute, we will, I'll probably head up to the weather office / the weather alert center and continue to track this with Keith. So we'll be doing all that in just a second. Hopefully no one in here is seeing anything as far as any reports of a tornado. If anyone's in Cass County that just so happens to be watching this stream, let me know what you're seeing. So what's interesting is, let's see really quickly. I'm going to show you all satellite and radar. We'll see how well this shows up. So there is currently some sun down. It's peeking through the clouds. It's somewhat filtered, but there is some sun. It's even some 70s down here. Ignore the arrowhead on that line. But basically down there, there's some pretty ripe moisture, warmth that is starting to lift in. There's essentially a warm front draped pretty much almost right where that storm is firing. And warm fronts can help enhance low-level turning of the winds, which is likely why we saw that storm really start to rotate a bit more effectively, because it's really riding that boundary. So right now, as far as any sort of storms in West Michigan, this is the only one that we're tracking. And I often talk about this. Storms that are hanging out all by themselves sometimes are a little bit more worrisome because they can kind of tap into the environment. They're not competing with one another. And so the storm has maintained its structure on radar fairly well. To just reiterate, they've trimmed down the warning, it looks like, just slightly. But now towards Williamsville, between Williamsville and Vandalia, this is a pretty rural part of Cass County. But crossing M60 rather soon will be an area of rotation capable of producing a tornado. As of now, again, no reports of anything confirmed on the ground. We don't have any spot or confirmed reports of a tornado at this time. But we will continue to watch it. Okay, so I'm going to hop up to our weather center, of course, as my battery in my laptop almost dies. Forgot to grab the charger, but that's okay because, like I said, we were planning on going mobile with this stream here in just a second. So again, this is the only storm. If you're in Van Buren County, there's no immediate threat. If you're in Kalamazoo County, there's no immediate threat. The only area of concern is down in Cass County and St. Joseph County. And even specifically in St. Joseph County, we're talking very northwestern corner of the county. So you can see it there. Three Rivers is not included in that polygon, just to kind of speak to how narrow of a little sliver St. Joseph County that's in that warning. And you still have some time. The storm is tracking to the northwest at about 35 miles an hour. And technically this warning goes for another 12 minutes. It goes through 3:45. Let me really quickly, I'm going to hop on the stream on my phone. So bear with me just a second. This will all make sense in a minute. I have to copy a long QR code, so this is very fun. Okay. We'll be grooving here in just a second. Thank you all for hopping on the stream. And yeah, not to be overlooked, but I think there could be some hail within this as well. I will say the rotation's definitely not as tight as it once was. It's a little bit more broad. That's not to say, we can let our guard down, but the scan that came in at about 3:15, which triggered this warning, looked pretty impressive from a rotation standpoint. It was kind of what we look for a storm capable of producing a tornado. All right, watch this. It's going to be magic. We can go hang out with Keith. All right. So I'm going to take this away. Add this. Apologies for the feedback. So yeah, we are, it's always kind of funny. We have a digital studio set up a little bit down the hall from our actual TV studio. So Keith and I. All right, we have an interview going on in the studio. All right. We might have to have them. I don't know. Do you want to go in there? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the position came open for 2018, 2019, and I was inspired to apply. All right. A few moving pieces there. No, it's all good. Keith's here.
And I didn't know. I forgot about you coming up.
Yeah, we're on stream, Jim, just so you know.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna make sure if your mic is not, make sure it's off.
Oh, it's not.
Just get right. It's gonna be an all.
Okay.
So,
Stand by, everybody. We're getting kind of organized for a few things right now. So we're coordinating TV and the web. I'm kind of hanging out on the web, obviously, and then Keith is going to be getting on air if this holds together here in just a second. So there's a lot of moving pieces that go on behind the scenes to coordinate some of these warnings that you see on air and online. So again, no new warning or anything like that that's issued. This is still the main cell. No indications that this is going to completely fizzle out. So we're going to stay with it as it progresses off to the northwest.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. There was an interview going on in our studio, believe it or not. So that'll have to get wrapped up if we get on.
Yeah.
Is your thought?
I think that St. Joe County is going to be more included in this.
Yeah, it's hugging the. I've been saying that Three Rivers is not in this warning.
Well, it's not following the cone.
I know, which I'm going to highlight here in just a second. Everybody, give me just a moment. So
for example, if you're in Fabius Township, you probably already said that, and really in Three Rivers, I'm hoping that he will hurry up and wrap up because I want to get back out.
I mean, you're just going to have to tell
I
him,
know.
unfortunately, if it comes to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm just waiting for the polygons to move.
So everybody, what Keith and I are talking about is this storm, the polygon that they initially drew could possibly get shifted a little farther south. And once my computer decides to cooperate, I'll be able to talk about that. Oh my Lord. Come on, computer. What are we doing? My computer died, and so it's being very slow.
So anyway, while he's getting the computer up, you'll just hear the voice anyway.
Yeah.
This is looking like, to me anyway, that it's going a little bit more east than northeast.
They just updated the polygon, which
Oh, okay. So
it's very frustrating.
I'm gonna have to get up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You need to go tell them to wrap it up.
And then we're gonna be on live.
All right. I'm a little frustrated because technology is not cooperating with me right now. All right. So do you want me to back you up? Okay, so important note, Three Rivers is now under a tornado warning.
Yeah.
I was actually in Three Rivers earlier at a school talk.
Today?
The hook on this looks still really impressive. The rotation doesn't look quite as tight, although this new scan is looking a little better.
That's pretty.
Yeah, we need to get on air as quickly as we can. Okay, so Keith's going to go get on air. So I know you guys can see that radar. What I'm talking about is that little almost like hook shape on the back end of that system on the bottom left. And again, what Keith and I were just highlighting is the fact that this storm, the initial polygon that was drawn, they've now kind of changed it, which now includes Three Rivers. So this is still, it looks like, for a radar indicated rotation. Let's see, is this the same warning? Okay, and the timing of this warning now goes through 4:15 in the afternoon. So we're going to continue to monitor this. And Keith is going to go on air here in just a few moments. I am going to get this phone out in the studio. I'm actually streaming on a phone, believe it or not. And of course, we haven't done this in a little bit, and I don't see my little mini tripod. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just looking at this though. I'm looking at exactly what you guys are looking at on the stream. And yeah, right over M60, there's definitely still some rotation. Fabius up into Three Rivers. I think you guys should be getting to your tornado safe place just as an added precaution. But I am going to go out into the studio really quick and mic up and get this going with Keith. So you're going to see a little bit behind the scenes that's in the meantime. Take this off. Yeah, this storm, the window was always late afternoon through late this evening. However, this storm kind of cropped up all by itself. And it's right in an area where the warm front is lifting in. And that's always a little concerning, as I was talking about a little earlier, because that warm front can interact with these storms and kind of add a little extra spin, if you will, or a little extra shear. So, yeah, the new warning is through 4:15. It does include Three Rivers. So if you're in Three Rivers, I wouldn't be shocked if the tornado sirens are going off. Fabius Township, I also want you to definitely be in your tornado safe place right now. In Three Rivers, you got a little bit of time, but be starting to move that direction. What'd you say? Okay, I'm coming out.
We're gonna go wall to wall. I already told him that's unusual.
Okay. Alrighty, so I am gonna set this phone up somewhere.
Wherever you want it.
I need a mini tripod.
I don't have that.
Nate, yes. Could you go tell? I know this is a big ask right now as you lug a camera. Can you go tell someone down there just that I need the digital tripod? The little mini tripod. Anyone on digital, anyone on web would know what that is.
I'm gonna run this stuff out to the lobby real quick and then we'll head down.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
You know what? Do I have that? Oh, I have Missy.
I'm gonna mic up.
Call Missy news desk.
Okay.
Hey, Nate, I got it. We're good.
Okay. All right.
I also need to get. So again, what we're doing right now, everybody, is we're coordinating live TV. We're going to get on air because this is now pushing into St. Joseph County, which is now in our viewing area. And do you want me running Max 1 for you? Or what
Yeah,
do
if
you?
you don't mind. Well, I can be at the wall. Yeah. If you want. Here's the phone.
Hey, Jim, if you're there.
Hey Siri, call Katie Digital.
Yeah, we need to be on.
I know. I can't get anybody down there to answer the phone. Hey Siri, call Missy news desk. Hey, you got me in there, guys?
So yeah.
15 seconds and I'll be ready to go.
Can you guys, if you guys are listening to Keith, can we punch up Max 2, please? Use Max 2. Run everything out of Max 2.
You got that?
You guys hear that?
Max 2.
Thank you.
You set for Max 2?
Yeah.
You want me to be at the wall then? Or
You can do whatever you want. I would say wall. You can mosey on over here too.
Okay. Yeah.
The new warning through 4:15.
Through 4:15. Okay. I'm ready to go. So I'm just going to talk about what you pop up. All right. I'm going to have this with me. Is it all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all right if I'm at the wall? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
They'll spin it around.
Okay.
I'm going to get my other phone.
I'm going to text Missy.
All right, everybody. Yeah, if nothing else, there's also some pretty strong wind. It looks like potentially going through like Fabius right now.
Okay. Yeah. I don't get it. Maybe you can call back on this. Okay. Whenever you are ready to, yeah, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah. And, yeah, and you're mic'd up too, Will, right?
Yep.
Is it right?
You're good.
Do I need to leave or James fan? Yeah. You said 4:15?
Yeah, until 4:15. Yeah, we got to go. Are they coordinating with master control right now?
Yeah. Also, the bug and crawl, I think, is solely every 15 minutes. So you know how quickly go in there.
I can do that. I just need a tripod.
I know. I'm trying to get them. Are we close to that?
I just texted
Okay.
3 people.
Hello, everyone. News Channel 3 Chief Meteorologist Keith Thompson live in the News Channel 3 studio right now. We have tornado warning coverage. We started this a few moments ago as the tornado warning was primarily in Cass County. It has now shifted. That tornado warning has now moved over into St. Joe County, and this is our area of concern. You can definitely see the signature there, and the returns would suggest that there's rotation here now moving into western St. Joe County. So, for example, if you're around Fabius Township, you definitely need to be taking cover here. If you are in Three Rivers, you need to be taking cover because this is moving to the northeast. And on this track here, this would take this into Three Rivers as this continues to move to the northeast. We're looking at M60 here, and there you can see with the returns right there, right here. This is the area that we're talking about right here. This is just north of M60. This is Fabius Township here, and this is moving to the northeast. So it's just a few moments away from moving into Three Rivers. So far as we know, there hasn't been any visible or visual confirmation of this, but this is certainly a strong radar signature. A little bit stronger a few moments ago in eastern Cass County, but it is maintaining its structure here, it looks like, as it continues to move to the northeast. We've got Will here tracking this as it moves out, and there you can see Lockport Township, Three Rivers, 354. That's 7 minutes. Lockport Township right behind that, and then Minden and Leonidas as it continues to work its way eventually over into southern Calhoun County. We'll wait and see if it maintains its strength and structure. But for now, if you're in Fabius Township, you need to be taking cover. We have an active tornado warning. Substantially now, this is for St. Joe County. I know that Cass is still included in it, but this is the part of the cell that we're concerned with here, where there looks like there's rotation. You see Hoffman Road here, and then we work our way to the south here, and then just to the south of Three Rivers. This is where M60 cuts off. You know, this is just south of the Menards here. As if you're in that area, if that sounds familiar to you, then you need to be taking cover as this continues to move to the northeast. So right now, it looks like it's going to be heading right into the Three Rivers area there. So from the M60 cutoff there on US 131, right on up to Three Rivers, and then right on up to Moore Park here. This is the area where you should be taking cover right now. Get into your tornado shelter or your basement, whatever it might be. Again, this is radar indicated right now, but this is what we're monitoring here as this continues to move off to the northeast. Now, this tornado warning goes to 4:15, relatively short amount of time. It's only about 27 minutes, but by then, we'll have a better idea of whether it's going to weaken, whether it's going to lose its structure, or whether it's going to continue on. But for now, if you were in Fabius Township, if you were just north of M60, like I said, right in here is where you have the Menards, you have the Meyer right here. If you're in that vicinity here, just west of US 131, then you need to be taking cover as this system, this cell is moving up to the northeast. A lot of lightning just to the north of that, but this area, rotation right here, is what we're looking at. And as we just got a new scan in on that, and so that'll give us an idea when we get the velocity to show us if we're still showing that velocity pattern there that's going to show that sort of tight couplet, if you will. It doesn't look like it's changed too much to me. Will can pitch in anytime on that.
Yeah, to me it seems like it's maintaining its strength.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a little faster as well
Yeah.
than some previous scans, as indicated by those brighter orangish yellows.
And it's definitely headed right into Three Rivers. I mean, into the heart of Three Rivers. Like I said, right here, M60, this area right in here is where, there's the Menards here, the Meyer is here. There's some shopping right here on the west side of US 131. And that's where it's about to cross over right now. In fact, it should be right over there in that ballpark here.
I'm just scanning for any sort of a debris signature really
Yeah.
quick, Keith. But
Will's trying to see right now if there's any evidence of anything that's being lifted by this storm, anything that might be aloft. But while he's there, you can see some of the roads that we have here. We have Hoffman Road. This is M60. This is US 131. This is the heart of Three Rivers downtown right here. And so you can see right now that circulation is now moving west of US 131, but it's just about to cross over US 131, right about the vicinity there of downtown Three Rivers. And so if you're in this area, Fabius Township, hopefully you're already in your place. But in Three Rivers and then stretching out to the northeast, Mendon, you need to be aware of this as it continues to move to the northeast. You're not in that warning zone yet, but Centerville you are. And if it continues on this path, it'll be running up right through here, right through M60, and eventually moving through Parkville Township, and then also into Minden as well. But right now, it is bearing down on Three Rivers. So that's why we're on the air right now. We have an active tornado warning. You can see now that they've trimmed it out of Cass County. Cass County, you're in the clear, no problem anymore. But here in St. Joe County, this is what we're concerned with. Just now moving past Fabius Township, but now heading into downtown Three Rivers. And as we noted just a few moments ago, it continues to show that structure there of some rotation, some counterclockwise rotation there. And in fact, not just on what we call the velocity product, but actually here on the reflectivity, on the radar return, you can definitely see that curvature, that counterclockwise curvature there, if you will. You can definitely see where that is. And as this moves off to the northeast, this is going to take it right over downtown Three Rivers, which is probably headed right in that vicinity right now. When we get a new scan in, we'll be able to see if it continues to have that signature there of rotation. Again, this is moving to the northeast, so if you're on the east side, northeast side of Three Rivers High School, for example, then you should be taking cover in that vicinity. If you are out in 60 here, headed out toward Minden, then you need to be taking cover, and you certainly need to be paying attention to us if you're in Minden. We'll see if it continues to keep that signature up, then we'll definitely probably have this warning extended. That'll be up to the National Weather Service, but we'll continue to monitor that as well. Now, for now, we have that warning going until 4:15, so that's going for another 33 or 23 minutes, I should say. This is the newest scan in, and right now it is right over Three Rivers. So again, if you're in the Three Rivers area, you need to be taking cover. Yes.
Confirmed. Multiple chasers are confirming a multi-vortex tornado entering Three Rivers, lofting debris right now.
Okay, so there it is.
So we have a tornado on the ground.
Yes.
Confirmed by spotters.
Confirmed by multiple spotters. There is a tornado on the ground lifting debris right now in the Three Rivers vicinity here. This has now moved on the east side. It's moving to the east side of US 131. You know, it had it a little bit earlier around the Menards and also the Meyer, which is right here. Now it's moving onto the east side. So this is downtown Three Rivers, and so now it is moving through right now. This is going to be going right out Hoffman here as it works its way out then toward M60 and eventually moving over to the east side of the town. The high school here is right about here, right in here. So it's just about to go over the high school right now. So tornado warning if you are in Three Rivers, if you are east of Three Rivers, then you need to be taking cover. If you're in Parkville, then you need to be taking cover. Moore Park, probably a good idea too, but it looks like you'll probably be on the north side of this. Centerville, pay attention, because as this runs out M86, you're going to be close to the zone. Minden, definitely want to be paying attention right now, because if this continues on this track here, it's going to be headed your way there, right on M60, as we check out the St. Joe River there as well. And again, we're going to continue monitoring not only the feed to see what chasers are saying. Important to know, as Will just noted, that multiple chasers have spotted a multi-vortex tornado lifting debris.
It's about as serious as it gets.
This is the
we
real
have
deal.
a spotter confirming a tornado.
This is the real deal. Coming through Three Rivers, now moving over toward Parkville, and then moving up M60. Like I said, right now, bearing down likely on Three Rivers High School, the school complex there. And then there it is. There's the latest on the reflectivity.
Yeah, it's that bright green that you see there just on the south side of Three Rivers. Let's get a better, sorry, I was posting a few things and
so we're going to be watching this moving on to these again. The high school is right about in here.
If it's lofting debris, it's very messy on our debris detector, but as far as any classic clear signature of where tornado would be right now, but I would put it moving.
You think it's east of M60?
I think it's just crossed US 131. It's
131,
right over like downtown Three Rivers.
So downtown Three Rivers. It's right over downtown Three Rivers. Again, the high school is up here, and so in this, if any of that sounds familiar to you, the Hoffman Dam in that area, you need to be taking cover because this is going to be moving up to the northeast. Parkville, you need to be taking cover. Centerville, you need to be paying attention. Minden, you definitely need to be thinking about your tornado safety plan, because according to spotters, multiple spotters, multi-vortex tornado here that is lifting debris, and so this is the real deal. This is going to continue moving to the northeast here. We have that tornado warning going until 4:15. this afternoon. That's 20 minutes. But between now and then, no doubt, we're going to get some more updates from the National Weather Service as well, as they are also getting information in here from spotters and their reflectivity too. So you can see this area shaded in red. It's all of the Three Rivers area. Fabius Township, you're all right now. It's already moved through. This is moved to the northeast. You can see some of the streets here. We have 6th Avenue, and this is Hoffman Street here.
Yeah, somewhere in here.
Yeah, so which is right over downtown.
Yeah.
Three Rivers, right here. So we're talking about the American Axle Plant. American Axle Plant right over in here. So that's going to be in the zone as well. And then stretching up to the north just a little bit here on the north side of Three Rivers, where 131 starts to head north towards Schoolcraft. So
Yeah.
if any of that sounds familiar to you, the American Axle Plant, downtown Three Rivers, the Hoffman Dam, Hoffman Street.
Yep.
Three Rivers High
M60.
School.
M60 going out of Three Rivers to the northeast.
Yes. Okay.
That's right where it's tracking.
And that's right in here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Eventually headed up towards the airport in Three
Okay.
Rivers.
So that's what we're looking at. And so this area here is where you need to be taking cover if we have a tornado warning. Again, that goes until 4:15.
Okay.
Multiple spotters.
Spotters reporting it's lifted.
Okay. So
So maybe not on the ground anymore.
Will is monitoring that, but hey, it might have lifted for now. It could come back down. Obviously, that's something to be concerned with. So if you sort of project this off to the northeast,
Yeah.
then this is what we're talking about is in this particular area. So far, it's moved from eastern Cass County into western St. Joe County. Now it's right over the heart of St. Joe County and Three Rivers. Looks like it's going to continue moving north of M86. That would be good news for you there in Centerville and Ottawa, but not so good news for you if you're in Minden.
Yeah.
Will's putting a track on it right now. We're talking about Lockport Township in 2 minutes. Got to be taking cover. Minden, even though it hasn't stretched here yet, I think it'd be a good idea to go ahead and take shelter if you're in Minden. Beyond that, Leonidas, Waukesha Township, Athens, as we get into Calhoun County, we'll have some time, hopefully, to see what's going to happen with the structure and the strength here. But for now, this is a very serious situation here in central St. Joe County in the Three Rivers area, and now moving northeast toward the high school and beyond the high school, out M60, headed toward Minden. Minden, you're not in the warning yet, but you are in Lockport Township. As you can see, at any moment now, that circulation should be right over you.
We're getting some reports from the fire department in Three Rivers of some damage.
Okay.
I know specifics as far as what. The exact verbiage from the St. Joseph County Emergency Manager's heavy damage reported by fire department in Three Rivers.
Okay, well, it definitely went over a high retail area there, going over US 131. A couple of shopping centers there.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what it might have done there. As it was traveling just to the north of M60 here, coming right into the south side of Three Rivers. As I mentioned earlier, just a couple of stores, you know, the Menards is there, the Meijer is there, and then as it crosses US 131, now it starts to move into the central business district of Three Rivers, and now it's moving off to the northeast. When we get a new scan, we'll not only be able to get an idea of where it might be headed, the direction. Right now, it looks like it is moving northeast, continuing to move northeast, but also we'll have an idea of the intensity to see if that strength is still there. But according to what Will is getting from spotter reports and from emergency management officials, there's already been some damage noted in the Three Rivers area. What kind yet? What's going on there yet? We don't know yet, trying to find out. But what matters right now is if you're in this zone right here, Lockport Township for sure, but certainly in Minden, you probably need to be taking cover, waiting to see what happens to this warning polygon from the National Weather Service to see if it gets extended. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
We need to be sending crews for our newsroom that's listening downstairs. We are safe to send a crew right now because by the time we get to Three Rivers, this storm will be out of there. So we need to be sending a crew mobilizing to get to Three Rivers.
Yeah, so there's obviously some damage that's been done, that's been noted in the Three Rivers area. This is going to continue moving to the northeast here, and so once again, right now, likely right around the high school. In fact, there it is. There's a new scan that comes in, and
It's not as tight, but there's still very strong rotation. I'm not really surprised that this is kind of being reported as it was reported as a multi-vortex tornado. You have really low cloud ceilings probably down there and just a lot of broad rotation. So if this does drop a tornado, it can be like little almost fingers of a tornado kind of spinning. So yeah, we're gonna.
So out in 60 here, we'll wait to see if this polygon gets extended because it's rubbing up against the eastern edge of the polygon right now to be sure. If you're in Minden, I think it'd be a good idea to take cover, to go ahead and hit your shelter. Because this is going to be headed in your area. Whether it continues to have the strong rotation pattern, we'll wait and see. But it certainly has a history. Now we know of not only spawning the tornado, but also apparently causing some damage in Three Rivers. And it is headed your way there in Minden, and eventually in Waukesha Township and beyond this as we move over into Calhoun County, and then moving also into northern Branch County here, eventually getting over to that area. So again, an active tornado warning right now. This is for St. Joe County. Right now, we're talking about east of US 131, east of US 131, from the downtown business district, central business district, and Three Rivers to the east. So running out M60. It's running north of M86. So the county seat, Centerville, Nottawa, likely okay. It looks like it's going to miss you to the north. Minden could be in the target zone here as this continues to move to the northeast. But we're going to continue to monitor.
I was attempting to just see if we had any viewer photos or anything into our Facebook page or any chime in photos.
Yeah, just a reminder to send us pictures safely if you have any pictures that you can send to us via chime in to help us tell the story there.
Just making sure I'm scanning a few different things right now.
Yeah, so while Will's doing that, just to reiterate, the reason that we're on the air right now is because we have a tornado warning for a cell that has confirmed by spotters put down tornado with damage in the Three Rivers area. And perhaps, perhaps even in eastern Cass County, as it was coming out of Cass County. We haven't heard from Fabius Township, I don't believe. We haven't heard from Fabius Township yet to see if there was anything there. But certainly the Three Rivers area. Now, this is now on the east side of Three Rivers. On the east side of Three Rivers.
Yep.
Downtown is right over in here. So now this is moving east. You can see some of the roads that we have here. Covered Bridge Road, the old Covered Bridge Road there with covered bridges. And then running right up here, I believe that is 6th Street.
Silver Street.
Silver Street.
Yeah.
Okay, Silver Street. So if that looks familiar to you, Silver, the intersection of Silver and M60, or if you are around the Covered Bridge there, Covered Bridge Road there, then we need to be taking cover. If you're near the Sturgis Dam is down. You need to be taking cover if you're in that vicinity. This is moving to the northeast. Eventually, it looks like Minden will probably be in the zone here, whether it will maintain its structure and whether it maintains the threat of dangerous rotating wind. We'll wait and see. But right now, it does look like there's some strong wind there, which could be rotating.
I wanted to flip this over. It looks like there was one local storm report, but okay. So this produced, it looks like possibly a tornado initially when it was down in Cass County. We don't have any updated reports. Sometimes those come in a little later, but
Okay.
apparently a center pivot and a little bit of other damage reported in Cass County. Just wanted to mention that.
The track of this, it moved out of Newburgh and then over toward Fabius Township,
Yes.
right along M60, and then crossed downtown Three Rivers, and now it's on the east side of Three Rivers. It's now even east of the high school.
There's the
New warning. Okay, so the warning now does include, Leonidas, does include northwest Branch County here as it continues to move off to the northeast. So Minden Township is in here. Athens, you need to be on guard. We'll keep you posted on that, but I would be certainly thinking about your tornado safety plan. Three Rivers, now you're in the clear. Hopefully there wasn't any substantial damage there. We've got some reports that there was damage there, but you're in the clear now. This system is now moving out M60. If you're along M60, between Three Rivers and Minden, you definitely need to be taking cover. If you're south of M60, north of M86, in this zone, you need to be taking cover. As this continues to move to the northeast, Leonidas, you are now in the tornado warning. And this warning now goes until 4:30. So it's been extended till 4:30. You see the old polygon, it's still here. But now they've issued a new polygon to take this storm. And this basically is now continuing to move into the northeast, and it's also indicative of the confidence that there is still the threat of rotating wind with this cell as it moves to the northeast. What are you seeing there?
You know, the fact they still observed with this tornado warning as well, I think speaks to the fact we still could have a tornado on the ground, potentially lifting towards Minden right now. It's tracking to the northeast at 40 in the latest. So this is going to be pushing up towards the intersection of M66 and M60 within the next 5 to 10 minutes. And then Leonidas as well, you need to be taking the storm seriously. But Minden, the Minden area, if you're anywhere in Minden, you need to be in your tornado safe place.
Definitely so. Again, running right along M60 here. You know, here's another element here, interesting to me that it had such a strong signature, considering that this is pretty much in the middle of the Grand Rapids radar,
Yeah.
and the Northwestern Indiana radar.
Just the fact it's maintained that hook, though,
Yeah.
I mean, on just this reflectivity, as we call it, radar, it's maintained that structure since it pushed out of Cass County.
Yeah, right here.
The velocity continues to show some rotation and pretty strong rotation at that. That area of yellow, just Mendon, that's some pretty strong wind speeds. I can
Anywhere 60 to 70.
potentially, I'll be able to tell you in just a second. Let's see. But that's some pretty strong winds. Now, given the proximity to the radar, some of this might be a little elevated, but still, I mean, that's 69 mile per hour wind
Right.
gusts being observed on radar.
What Will's mentioning here is we're taking this, I believe, from the Grand Rapids radar site. And that being said, then that radar beam actually is several thousand feet above the ground. But we do have evidence, of course, of that rotation and damaging wind going on at ground level. As Will mentioned earlier, in Minden, you must be taking shelter right now, as this cell is just off to your southwest and it is moving to the northeast. Leonidas, you need to be taking shelter as well. If you're watching us in Waukesha Township, if you're in Athens, then you need to be taking cover as well. If you're around the reservation here near Athens, then you need to be taking cover as well as this continues to move to the northeast, as Will mentioned. This is where M66 runs right into M60. If that sounds familiar to you, you would be west of Leonidas, then you need to be taking cover. So this area right here is really under the gun right now. M86, Centerville, Nottawa, looks like you're going to be good to go because this is going to be moving to the northeast. Colon, if it continues on its current track, Colon, you'll be all right. But again, in Leonidas and Minden right now, you definitely need to be taking cover. And if you're in this vicinity here, looks like a new scan just came in. If you're, my bad. If you're in this vicinity right here, then you need to be taking cover as this continues to move up to the northeast. We're monitoring for any damage reports, as well as monitoring for any updates as far as the track and the intensity goes. That's what Will's working on.
I'm not sure if anyone in the control room, newsroom has gotten any photos or anything on our chime in or our Facebook page. If there's any reports of damage, that would be extremely helpful to show and relay. So just mentioning that to our control room. Additionally, this, rotation still very notable right on top of Menden.
Yeah, it's right over Minden right now, and it is definitely, I would say, moving toward Leonidas, maybe move it just to the northeast of Leonidas, but you're certainly going to be in the path. Waukesha Township, I'd certainly be on guard right now, and maybe even already make plans to get into your shelter.
Worth mentioning too, Keith, I wouldn't be shocked if there was some at least inch in diameter hail on the north side of Menden right now, which is also what this is warned for, but obviously a lesser threat compared to the tornado risk.
Yeah, so this area here where there could be some large hail. So another threat from this severe thunderstorm that is right now, perhaps putting down a tornado. There were reports, I believe, in the Three Rivers area of some damage. We're trying to work on that. You see that Will has this in motion.
Yeah, I wanted to just show the broader view here, just to speak to, in case someone's tuning in from Kalamazoo or like Van Buren County. Right now, there's no threat really in the Kalamazoo area, Van Buren County, even up into Battle Creek. This is a very localized and isolated cell, and it's riding right along a warm front that was lifting in across the Michigan-Indiana line a little after 3. And so it is just the fact, I talk about storms often where if they're by themselves, they're able to tap into the environment and kind of reap the benefits of the environment around them. They're not sharing with other storms around them. So this is like a classic example of that, where we have just one storm hanging out and it's been able to maintain its strength so much because it's not competing with other updrafts and downdrafts and other storms that are trying to move it in its wake or in front of it. So this is a very pretty impressive storm that it's maintained that structure and its strength for so long.
And our atmosphere, by the way, has really changed a lot just in the last few hours. Bill and I were discussing the dew points, jumping well up into the 60s, for example. So all of a sudden, what looked like maybe a few hours ago was maybe a marginal risk for anything to be happening now has gotten obviously a little bit more conducive. So this is why we're on the air. We have this tornado warning that goes until 4:30. An observed tornado, observed by trained spotters back around Three Rivers. And right now would still indicate that there could be some rotation going on here.
Looks like a funnel is being observed within the last minute near Menden.
Okay, so reports of a,
Not necessarily on the ground,
not on the ground,
But-
but a funnel has been spotted.
which is the precursor, obviously, to
Near
this thing
Minden.
just dropping down.
So, more reason why you've got to be in your shelter right now in Minden, because it's really bearing down on you right now. If you're on M60, if you're along M60 here, Kalamazoo, no,
That's new, yeah.
Okay, what
So
is
they
it?
extended the severe thunderstorm warning into Kalamazoo County. Look at that, hail up to 1.75 inches, and apparently there was some hail being reported, I believe, earlier on in Indiana with this same cell up to about that. So
It's huge.
when I was saying that I wouldn't be surprised if on the northern edge of this supercell there was some pretty decent hail. That's why that new warning was just issued. It's this area that's going to clip Kalamazoo County as it lifts off to the north and east. That's primarily a hail concern more than anything. And maybe some gusty winds up to 40, 50 miles an hour. But if you're in the far southeastern corner of Kalamazoo County, that's why that new warning just was issued.
If you're along M60 here from Minden over toward Leonidas, then you need to be taking cover. You really should be in your tornado shelter right now.
Yep.
M66, you should be in your tornado shelter
Yes. And
because that's where this is headed right now.
we keep talking about M60, but it weirdly has kind of followed M60 as it went through Three Rivers, which kind of moved off to the northeast, and now it's going to cross over M60 right on top of Mendon and eventually push off just near Leonidas here shortly.
And so this is the Kalamazoo County line here, Kalamazoo-St. Joe County line.
Mm-hmm.
And now that tornado warning right now, the polygon doesn't extend into Kalamazoo County, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning here for large hail.
Yeah.
And
Anyone
so-
at Rawson's King Mill County Park, that's a very popular county park. If you know anyone that just so happens to be out, kind of enjoying the warm temperatures, this is not the time to be there. You need to be sheltering. Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
M60 continuing right into Leonidas. So just keep that in mind. We have that warning that goes until 4:30. As Will gets those reports that are coming in, definitely giving us those and also updates to any of the reflectivity that we're seeing with this as it continues to move to the northeast. We're waiting to hear more from the Three Rivers area because we did hear some reports that there could have been some damage there. By the way, the severe thunderstorm warning for southeast Kalamazoo County, that includes Waukesha Township there, that goes until 5 o'clock this afternoon, 5 o'clock, so this still has 47 minutes to go.
It sounds like there's been numerous reports, significant damage on the southwest side of Three Rivers, on the southwest side
That
of
would be
Three
right around
Rivers.
where we were tracking M60, where M60,
Yep.
if you're familiar with that area, where it runs into US 131. Like I said, there's a Menards there, there's several shopping areas there, Mayo is there, and so that's all right there on the west side of US 131. So that would certainly be some bad news if that went right over. That is a pretty congested area there. Now it's continuing to move off to the northeast. It's running, as Will said, right along M60. It's almost like it's traveling the highway there.
It really is. Up towards Athens, you're not in the warning yet, but I would say just be on guard with this within the next 30 to 45 minutes. If this maintains its strength, which it has, you're going to be potentially next in line if they continue to extend this warning off to the east and northeast.
Yeah, so north from Athens to the northeast, as I mentioned earlier, the reservation right here in the Athens area, you need to be taking your storm safety measures here as this continues to move to the northeast here. It's eventually going to perhaps come into contact with M66 here as it cuts up toward Battle Creek.
Just trying to see if this hail product would show anything. It's a little delayed.
Yeah,
Sometimes this thing's a little glitchy, but
this
Yeah,
stripe here. Yeah.
that really dark shade of red that you see there, that would be potentially some 1 to 2 inch diameter hail.
Right in here, just to the south of the Kalamazoo-St. Joe County line.
Yep.
So between Leonidas and Waukesha Township, there could be some big hail
Yeah.
falling there right now. To the south of that, if you're closer to M60, if you are between Minden and Leonidas, if you're in Leonidas, you really need to be in a tornado shelter or in some kind of protected area right now as this moves to the northeast. This has a history of putting a tornado on the ground, according to numerous spotters. Several spotters saw this. There has apparently been damage in Three Rivers. And so as this moves to the northeast, with its history, and considering that it continues to give us a signature anyway of a potential rotation in there, in this cloud here, then that's why we are on the air right now to let you know that this is a potentially very dangerous situation. Now at the intersection of M60 and M66, between Minden and Leonidas here. By the way, again, just to remind folks in southern St. Joe County, Centerville and Ottawa, you're in the clear. Colon, you're going to be in the clear. And as Will mentioned earlier, this is a very isolated system. I mean, this is one cell that's doing this. So if you're elsewhere in West Michigan, there's no threat, no problem right now. But if you're in this zone here, this is where the action is. Northeastern St. Joe County, we're now talking northwestern Branch County. Could be talking, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning for southeast Kalamazoo County. We're talking Pavilion Township here, moving into Fulton, for example. And then east here toward Athens. This also would be right into the neighborhood of Scotts, I believe, as well, just to the south, perhaps, of Climax and Scotts. So in that area, notice what Will had talked about earlier, this deep red right here, where there's likely a stripe of some hail that could be up to 1 3/4 inches in diameter. And so that is another aspect of this system. But we're on the air right now with a tornado warning that is now in northeast St. Joe County, between Mendon and Leonidas, right along M60. If that sounds familiar to you, if you're around M60 between those two towns, then you need to be taking cover. Sherwood Township here in northwest Branch County, you need to be taking cover, as that warning now extends to right about where you are. Athens, you need to be paying attention. Waukesha, paying attention, and also you're probably seeing some of that hail that's coming down right now. This warning goes until 4:30, which is another 13 minutes away, and then the severe thunderstorm warning, which is southeast Kalamazoo County here for radar indicated 1.75 inches, 3/4 inch diameter hail. That goes until 5 o'clock. We're going to continue monitoring this, and we're going to stay on the air because it is important for people in this vicinity to know that there is a dangerous storm in the area, one that apparently has a history of damage in the Three Rivers area. We're continuing to work to try to get more definition on that. But what you need to know, if you're along M60 here, if you're north of Colon, if you're around Leonidas, if you're south of Waukesha Township, then you should be taking cover. Athens, then you need to be thinking about it. Sherwood, you also need to be thinking about taking cover as we continue to monitor this moving to the northeast. What can happen to it next? Well, it could lose some of its strength. It could lose its structure. And as a result, we could see that signature for rotating wind go away. Or we could see things weaken. That would be wonderful. But right now, we're just sort of in a monitoring process here and waiting to see what happens next.
It does look like expires the tornado warning. I think that did they just trim it? This was a minute ago. The tornado warning for northwestern St. Joseph County has been expired. So that's just them.
So that should totally disappear.
Well, I think that might be them just trimming it. I'm a little confused by that.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So maybe they're about to issue. You think they're going to issue another one?
They have not indicated that, but it's still just. I mean, it doesn't look like it's weakened any more than it looked 15, 20 minutes ago,
Yeah,
and it still has that I mean, anytime we see this sort of a classic little hook hanging down, that little finger almost looking thing right along M60, that thing has just maintained its structure, which we don't often see too often, these sort of supercell thunderstorms that just maintain that classic hook that long.
Well, and this is right over the Honors.
Yeah, I'm seeing some photos and video getting submitted to our News Channel 3 Facebook page. If we could reach out to those folks and see if we can get any of that on the air, that would be very helpful. And if you are in any of these areas that were potentially hit by a tornado, if you go to WWMT.com/chime in, you can send in your photos and videos. That is incredibly helpful on these sort of days that we can get kind of real-time reports of damage. Obviously, wait until this goes through. We don't want you ever out when you're in a tornado warning. But Three Rivers, you need to be just mindful if you are venturing out in and around Three Rivers. It sounds like there is some property damage right in the shopping corridor of Three Rivers. So that is worth mentioning. I had a few folks mentioning the Menards in Three Rivers. This is unconfirmed right now, but potentially some pretty significant damage at the Menards in Three Rivers.
Yeah, no, just south of the Menards there, I know that there's also like a storage unit area there. Right where M60 runs into US 131 at the intersection there. And we are trying to get some of those photos so that we can see that we can get them on the air for you. But you know, when we were tracking that, it's mentioning that, you know, the Meyer is just to the north of that Menards there as well, and it went right over US 131. Right now, Leonidas, it's right on top of you, and it's about to move to the northeast. Still not seeing the change that they have made in the polygon, but we'll wait and see.
They're saying, Keith, that they've reduced the threat on this tornado warning to just a base tornado, that's kind of minutia. But basically, they were just saying that because it hasn't touched down, to their knowledge, within the last 15 minutes, based on just the funnel that didn't touch down in Mendon, that's not to say this couldn't just drop a tornado within the next few minutes. That's why we're still under a tornado warning. But the overall messaging from the National Weather Service is a little less significant than it was, say, 20 minutes ago.
So perhaps not as threatening as it was when it was approaching the south side of Three Rivers and going right over the central business district, but still menacing, no doubt, from the Leonidas northeast on M60. Still would be on guard in Sherwood Township, but still would be on guard in Athens. And that strip of hail, perhaps, that Will was talking about is now right close to the Kalamazoo and St. Joe County border there, just south of Waukesha. And so there could be some large hail. Fulton is in the vicinity there. So that's something else to keep in mind with the hail. But again, this threat of rotating wind, Minden, it's past you now. Leonidas, it's right over you. As it continues to move up to the northeast, it will be threatening Sherwood and Athens and everything in between. Now the warning, as you can see, sort of dips into northwest Branch County here, does touch on Sherwood. And as we extended this, but we'll have to wait and see. If we were to extend this, then yeah, it would be moving into southern Calhoun County. It would be moving into the Athens area, it would be moving over the reservation there, but continues to run off to the northeast toward Burlington and then crossing to 66. But right now, to take it there as an active tornado threat is stretching beyond what we have the current warning for. So we'll have to wait and see what guidance comes from the National Weather Service on that.
Yeah, nothing new to report here as far as any reports. Now, Leonidas, there still is a area of rotation. I would not be surprised if there was a little bit of a funnel cloud still with this. It looks like perhaps some of the strongest wind and rotation is now pushing into portions of Branch County as we speak, and there goes a new warning now for the southern half, essentially, of Calhoun County, and that is, again, primarily a hail threat, it looks like, kind of on the northern edge of that cell. That goes through 515 for hail sizes a bit as far as the hail likelihood or the hail significance.
Well, and this would be good news if it verifies in this way, because it would mean that this cell is more now looking more like a severe thunderstorm producing storm and not one that is going to be producing a tornado. So hopefully that verifies. And so it's interesting to note here with the National Weather Service and GR, as they project this storm moving into southern Calhoun County, they project it doing so as a hail-producing storm and not one that is going to be threatening with the rotating wind, as we saw coming in through St. Joe County. Still, in Athens, you need to be on guard. You're now under a severe thunderstorm warning. The same right over I-69 here. So we're moving into Teconcha. We're just north of you there in Branch County. We're in southern Calhoun County here. But this is the rotating area. Again, I would think if you are still in the vicinity of M60 between Leonidas and Sherwood and Athens, that triangle right here, if you're in here, then you need to be taking cover because this storm could still be producing some strong winds. And from this signature here, there still could be some rotation, whether it's making it to the ground or not, I think is what is still to be determined. But it does still look to me anyway like it's got a bit of a punch.
Yeah, we do have a crew heading to Three Rivers. When we get there, as soon as they can throw up a live shot of any sort of damage, please, David, just reiterate
and I know
that.
down in the newsroom they're trying to get those photos up for us. I've been told that as soon as we can get some photos up to show you, we'll show you that. And by the way, remember, if you can safely take pictures of any of this and go to our Chime In page, you can get there on our website by hitting the Chime In tab. You can do a pull down on the left side, you'll see where the Chime In tab is, or you can also do that on our free news app. You can send your pictures in by there. Important to note, by the way, when you send any of those in, to not only include your name, but also the time and the location. Very important to put the time and the location.
Yeah.
But we'll zoom in right now to show us the reflectivity that we have. And it looks like it's sort of dipped a little bit to the south of M60 or right along M60.
Yeah, just south. Between Athens and Sherwood, this is where that rotation is going to be tracking. Also, potentially some pretty decent hail right into the Athens area as we speak. Although the storm looks like maybe the hail is a little less significant than it was a little bit ago. However, that's why we have that warning that includes Calhoun County. Calhoun County, you are not under a tornado warning. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning. We're just going to have to wait and see if they do end up extending this a little bit farther northeast. I do have a credible source telling me that the Menards in Three Rivers did take damage from a tornado. So
Well,
if
we saw that going right over
right through
Menards.
the shopping district.
Yeah, right through that shopping district there. And if it did go right over the Menards, I would put it just to the south of the Meyer. Those two stores are very close there on the west side of US 131 as this moved off to the northeast. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully everyone's all right there and there's not too much damage there. But that came right on the heels of storm spotters who were verifying multi-vortex, I believe this.
Yeah.
Multi-vortex tornado there. So now that it continues to move to the northeast, it seems as though perhaps the signature is not as strong, but there is some large hail. Just a reminder, the tornado warning continues until 4:30. That's 3.5 more minutes. And basically now what we're talking about is northwesternmost Branch County. And then once you get into southern Calhoun County here, we're talking about Athens and M66 here. That is a severe thunderstorm warning primarily for the large hail. I'd still be on guard if you're in Athens, just in case things happen to ramp up just a little bit. But between Sherwood and Athens is where the center of this is going to be moving here as it makes its way to the northeast, with likely some large hail in this strip right in here around Athens, and then perhaps strong winds just off to the south.
Let's fly out really quick, Keith, and just again, in case you're wondering, why are we only talking about this area? It's because this is really truly the only cell right now. Now there are still some storms and heavier showers up a little north of Holland in the Grand Haven area, but none of that is posing a severe risk. There is a warm front that's been lifting in the last several hours, so the best ingredients for some of our severe weather are more confined to kind of the southern half of our viewing area. If we're getting specific, the warm front's kind of lifting right there. This storm, I think, has been riding that warm front, and that's what's helped maintain its signature supercell kind of rotating component to it. So this will continue, I think, to be still the main storm we're watching for the next, I would say, at least another 20, 30 minutes, unless this thing just piddles out. However, it looks like a new warning they're just issuing. Is that correct, Keith? I think that is an extension.
Yes, right here.
Yeah, of the tornado warning now,
Right.
which includes Sherwood and then just a very small sliver.
Yeah, it just came out. Union City.
Mm-hmm.
You're now in that, and they're going to ride that polygon, by the way, right along the Calhoun Branch County line. So, if you want to go with the polygon there, if you're in southern Calhoun County, your big threat is going to be hail. If you're in northern Branch County, north of Sherwood right now, headed toward Union City. So listen, if you are between Sherwood and Union City, then you should be taking cover.
Union Lake area. I'm trying to look at some other just geographic.
Right along M60 here in Union City, you need to be taking cover. This new warning, this little sliver here goes just north of Girard along I-69. But again, the National Weather Service is using the cutoff here of the border there between the county line between Calhoun and Branch County here. If you're in Branch County, you need to be aware. And it's because of this right here, this area just to the north of Sherwood. And as it moves northeast, it's really traveling right along M60. So if you're along M60 there, then you need to be taking cover. And that's going to put you also there around Union City.
Yes. I'm going to check just to see. There's more talk of the Menards store, a lot of damage, and it from other local media. It looks like, Menards took a direct hit. I'm seeing parts of the roof, it looks like, gone, and in the parking lot.
Okay.
And I've also seen some other images that we can't really show on air just yet, but also showing some pretty significant damage in that corridor.
Okay. And that's right when it was coming out of Cass County.
Yes.
Moving right along M60 there, making a beeline toward the southwest side of Three Rivers. And it'll be interesting to see if it was still doing damage when it went into the central business district, because after it went over that Menards and over that shopping area there, that's right along US 131. The next target zone was the central business district. Then it moved out to near the high school on the northeast side of Three Rivers, and then made its way along M60 toward Minden. Haven't seen any reports from that area. Now it is past Leonidas. Now it is just to the south of you there in Athens. It's between Athens and Sherwood.
Yeah.
Union City. If you're in Union City, you should be taking cover.
Yeah, the rotation is, this has maintained its strength. We can't downplay this storm. This is a Still radar indicated rotation. So as we've been telling you, there was a confirmed tornado that touched down in the Three Rivers area. We had reports of a funnel over Mendon. And what can happen with these long-lived supercells is they can kind of cycle through. So it'll put a tornado down, the tornado lifts, and then even later in its life, 15, 20 minutes later, it can still produce another tornado. So that's the sort of scenario we're looking at here. This is still some rotation.
Yeah.
It is, I almost laugh because we've been mentioning M60 so much, but this thing continues to track along M60 up between Athens and Sherwood up to Union City. It's right near Union Lake as we speak. It's crossing over Athens Road and will eventually be in the vicinity of West Girard Road, and then eventually crossing 8 Mile Road down in Calhoun County.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the line right here between, this is the county line. So it's riding right along the line. If you're in Athens, I'd be taking cover. It looks like it's going to be just to your south. If you're in Union City, you definitely need to be. In Burlington, you need to be paying close attention. You're not in the warning area just yet, but if this continues to hold its strength and hold its signature, as Will said, and as it moves off to the northeast, then Burlington, you could be in the path here, especially if it continues to run right along M60 there, running up here to the northeast.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I keep mentioning this too, but on the northern edge of this, right on top of Athens, there could easily be some inch hail.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning there.
And so as this moves to the northeast, we're going to continue to see, some structure there. It looks like there could definitely be some rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it is just, you can look at it within the last hour loop there as it tracked through Mendon, still maintaining its strength, and still some pretty decent velocity as far as wind speed. I mean, the brighter oranges and reds there are easily probably over 50, 60 miles an hour. And when this thing tightens up at times, it could easily just drop another tornado. So we're going to have to continue to stay with this. It's interesting. We're running into a difference of National Weather Service office. We'll have to see if National Weather Service office in Grand Rapids extends any sort of a tornado warning into southern Calhoun County, which would be up towards, say, Burlington or to Concha.
What Will is talking about is this zone here.
Yeah.
Is from the National Weather Service office out of Northwestern Indiana. When you're here, this is the National Weather Service office in Grand Rapids. So this is literally, the storm is really sort of straddling the two weather service offices.
And I don't have any strong indication as of now from Grand Rapids Weather Service whether or not they are planning on extending this.
So right now, the tornado warning is for substantially Branch County. I know that you see in the red box there that St. Joe County is still in, but the storm's out of St. Joe County. It goes until 5 o'clock. For now, it's radar indicated. Earlier, it was not only seen by spotters as it came into the southwest side of Three Rivers, but apparently we've seen photos now of damage to the Menards there, which is on the southwest side of Three Rivers, right where M60 and US 131 meet. And now that it continues to move to the northeast, it's running right along the highway. And so, for example, south of Athens, and then over here toward Union City is where we're really concerned. Burlington, I'd be concerned here too. This is M60, by the way. Not that the storm knows that it's following the highway, but it certainly seems to be. And so if you're in the vicinity there of Union City, you should be taking cover. And like Will said, in this deep red here, this area is where there's likely some large hail coming down. So that would be Athens to the east of M66.
We just had a viewer call from Leonidas Township mentioning that they had some small size hail, but that's it. And clear skies now, no damage from Leonidas, which was where that rotation was tracking through.
Yeah, we appreciate those reports so much because it does help us to fill in the details that right now we're only able to see with our technology here. And so it's very helpful for us to not only hear your reports, but also to see any of those pictures that you can safely get and send to us on Chime In. Again, you can do that on our website. Look for the Chime In tab. It's on the left side pull down, or you can do that on our free news app. Again, moving to the northeast. For now, southern Calhoun County is under a severe thunderstorm warning for radar indicated hail, which could be up to an inch in diameter. But just to the south of Calhoun County, there's an active tornado warning for northwest and northern Branch County. And that is.
We might have just lost your mic. I'm not sure.
Okay.
There we go. You're back.
Am I back?
That was
Okay.
weird.
And so that will go until, I believe it is, this new warning, I didn't get the new polygon, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that goes until 5 o'clock.
I wonder how much the radar beam for this storm, it's teetering right between our two radars. And I feel that that might be why we haven't seen the tornado warning issued farther into Calhoun County. So we're probably getting some elevated scans of the rotation. This is kind of a bad area for radar where you can't get really a good view of the lowest levels of the storm all that well. So while there's still some rotation within this, it's hard to say how close to the ground that is really moving.
Well, what I'm saying here too is like from the Grand Rapids radar site, remember the radar has to be tilted up just a little bit. And so if you take that beam and project it, it's several thousand feet, similar to beam, is several thousand feet above the ground. And so what it's seeing, what Will is saying, what it's seeing here is a few thousand feet elevated.
Yeah.
And so without spotter verification or without other kind of signatures, without other signals, you don't really know whether that's actually happening right now at the ground level. We'll sort of show you where that rotation is. This is why you see Union City, you need to be in your shelter.
Yeah, I mean, I still think even though the tornado warning isn't extended yet, they're currently pondering it, they're telling us. But up into Union City, Burlington Township, I would just be ready to go and in your tornado safe place, just to be extra cautious. This storm, I will say, in some of the latest scans as far as base reflectivity, Keith, it is starting to lose that hook, which is a good sign. It was maintaining that classic structure for a long time, that classic shape that we look for.
Right.
And it's definitely a little bit more muddled now as far as some of what we look for as far as some of these classic tornado producing thunderstorms. There's still a little bit of a notch there, which is that little hook that you see, but it's not quite as apparent as it was earlier.
And so you can see where Union City is. This is why we say you really need to be taking cover. And Burlington, even though right now it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, I'm sure that the National Weather looks like it has been. I think it just got this.
Yep, they just did.
All right.
So that's now the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids for
Yes.
Calhoun County. This does not include, I want to mention, does not include Battle Creek or
Yes.
Marshall,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the southern
Yeah.
third of Calhoun County that includes Burlington, Concha out towards Clarendon, and then
Yeah.
just barely clips the south side of Albion as well.
So if you if you are, and really, I would say if you're in northern Branch County, you can breathe a little bit easier, not totally yet, but probably. Whereas now if you're in Burlington Township, you need to be taking cover. If you're along I-69 here, if you know anybody who might be in transit there, between Coldwater and Marshall, that's what we're talking about here, between Coldwater and Marshall.
Yeah.
Then, it'd be a good idea maybe for them to pull off if they're not in that zone there and just give it a few minutes.
If nothing else, too, there could be some pretty strong wind gusts associated with this as
And
it
large
goes
hail.
through. Yeah.
Large hail, which would, a 1 inch diameter hail going down the interstate would not be pleasant. M60 here going out toward Clarendon Township. And then as Will said, just to the south of Albion, M99 here, which cuts to the south there.
I'm going to track on it.
M60, that's what we're talking about here. So yeah, Will's going to put a track on this to show you what we're talking about. So now this is a new tornado warning issued by the National Weather Service for southern Calhoun County. As Will mentioned, this is not Battle Creek, this is not Marshall. This really isn't approaching I-94 until you get toward Albion, and certainly north of I-94, nothing there. So you have Union City right now,
Yep.
a minute and a half.
The middle school it's pinging to.
To Concha, coming up in about 17, 16 minutes, 15 minutes, we'll just say. And then moving over toward Concord. When it gets over to Concord and Hanover, it's moving over toward Jackson and Hillsdale counties there. But as you can see here, this is I-69, here's Marshall and Coldwater, and this is what we're looking at. So Burlington Township, you're certainly in the target zone, right over Union City right now. Hey, we've been naming these cities off, and the storm is pretty much going right where the projections have it going. So Union City, now in the zone, you're under the gun right now. Burlington, you're next along M60 here as it continues to head toward I-69. If you're west of I-69 and south of I-94, south of Marshall, around Burlington Township, then you need to be taking cover along M60 here because this cell could still have some strong rotation to it as it moves to the northeast. We haven't really gotten any reports, I don't think, of any kind of damage or rotation outside of what we've got from Three Rivers.
Oh, new update just seconds ago. Large tornado on the ground doing damage per multiple spotters near Union City at 4:38. That's a minute ago.
There we go.
So we have a tornado on the ground in Union City
Right
doing
here.
damage.
Right here. That's why we've been telling you, Union City, you got to get down.
9 Mile Road, West Drive South. This is going to be tracking in that vicinity. 10.5 Mile Road up towards V Drive South. That's to the north and east of Union City. but there's a confirmed tornado now again with this. And I was looking at that scan right there, Keith, and it looked a little tighter
Yes.
all of a sudden again.
Burlington, you got to be taking cover right now in Burlington because this is going to be making a beeline for Burlington South. Burlington, I would say. If you're in the Burlington area, you need to be taking cover along M60. This is now moving into Southern Calhoun County. So now in Southern Calhoun County, and so still we've got that warning polygon down there in Northern Branch County, but it looks like the focus here, you can see the hook here, right? You can see this on reflectivity moving up to the northeast. So that's what we're keeping an eye on there as it runs toward M60 and makes its way toward I-69. So again, if you're in Concha, north to just south of Marshall, right now Marshall, you're not in the zone. Certainly Battle Creek, you're not in any kind of danger. But Union City to Burlington to Concha, and to Concha north on I-69 to just south of Marshall. If you're in that vicinity, then you really need to be taking cover. As Will said, 4:38, just 2.5 minutes ago. A confirmed tornado on the ground in Union City.
Yeah, we have some video of the tornado in our chime in page.
There you go.
David, I know you were working on another video. Okay, so this was in the Three Rivers area?
Yeah, that's Three Rivers.
Okay.
Look, that's the Meyer I told you about right
Yep.
there. We're going south on 131 here. We're looking to the west, and that's the Menards coming up.
Yeah, it looked like the front facade
There it
of
is, yeah.
Menards was pretty
look,
heavily
yeah,
damaged.
look, hey,
Yeah, there's
there's
debris.
blowing debris.
So this was in Three Rivers. We also apparently, David, have a video of the tornado crossing Union Lake in the Union City
look.
area.
That's the storage area I was telling you about.
Wow.
The storage area.
Wow. So this was as it was doing damage in Three Rivers.
Wow.
And-
Thanks to Lindsay Whitaker, by the way, for that video. There it is again. So as she was taking this going south, there's the Meyer gas station, south on 131 and Three Rivers. That's right there was going over the Menards roof.
All right, I just want to circle back to the fact I want to go back to Union City since there still is a confirmed tornado on the ground potentially working its way towards Burlington. That visual, obviously, very, very helpful. The storm has a history of producing that tornado in Three Rivers, and it sounds like we had a tornado that was also crossing Union Lake. We have video of that also in our chime in, which we'll be working on getting. But as of the latest report, just moments ago, a large tornado confirmed on the ground in the Union City area. That was as of 4 minutes ago. This would be tracking towards Burlington, right along M60. The same, that little hook that we've been noting there that Keith's pointing out now, somewhere in that vicinity, there's likely a tornado.
Burlington Road is what it's called in Branch County. Not sure what it's called once you get up here.
It would be pushing towards Burlington and 11 Mile Road, near 8 Mile Road in Union City. The probably tornado just passed just east of there.
Yeah.
So if any of these streets that we're naming, if you live near any of these, hopefully you are taking your tornado precautions. Burlington, you have minutes, if not seconds, that you need to be in your tornado shelter as we speak. To Concha, I want you in your tornado shelter as well. This is going to be crossing I-69 here within the next probably 10 minutes or so, if not even sooner than that. So anyone that's out driving right now, if you know anyone driving home in portions of Calhoun County, any of these areas that we're talking about, tell them they need to get off, get to a building and shelter.
Yeah, Clarendon Township here. By the way, Marshall's way up here. So this is going to, if it continues on this track, and it's been pretty predictable on that, it will stay south of Marshall. So we're talking about Fredonia Township here to Concha, moving over toward Clarendon, and then Albion. You need to be on guard. You still got a little time, but in Albion, if you're listening, Albion south, you need to be on guard because you're likely going to have to take some safety measures here in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. But right now, our concern is just to the east now of Union City and Union Lake, right over Burlington. Here we are. This is M60. This is Burlington here. As we move this off to the northeast, that's 11 Mile Road. As it heads toward I-69, if it continues on this track, it will cross I-69, likely north of Teconcha, right here along I-69 and north of M60, but we'll have to see where the track takes it. This warning, by the way, goes until 5:30. What will is also, I believe you still have that tornado or a hail strike, right?
Yeah, well, this darker area I was just mentioning again, probably likely at least some 1/2 inch to 1 inch diameter hail on the north side of this. And as of now, we still don't have anything indicating that this has lifted. So as of now, we're still under the impression that we still could have a tornado on the ground moving into the Burlington Township area. And let me check the debris, something I haven't looked at too closely. This, I'm not really expecting to see much given our proximity to the radar, but possibly that was a little interesting that I just saw there as this kind of went through Union City. But yeah, it's a lot of times that you're going to get that classic debris signature when it's a little closer to the radar, I feel like. And this is, I think it's just a little too far, but still has that little bit of a structure to it.
Quick reminder here, what Will is talking about, the reason that we're only focused on this one area, this is it.
Yeah.
This is really all that's going on right now in West Michigan. You can see some showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two, and this is very weak stuff. No threat here in Holland or GR where there's some rain. But this isolated cell is what's taking all of the energy here. As Will mentioned earlier, the danger with an isolated cell is that it can tap into all of the energy. It doesn't have to share it with anything else. And as you see now, it's moving off to the northeast. Burlington Township is right over you right now. It's right over you. And Teconcha, probably moving just to the north of Teconcha, but I think it'd be a good idea in Teconcha to take cover.
Yeah.
Anywhere Teconcha north, you need to be taking cover up to Fredonia Township.
And this is no joke if you're driving along I-69. Like I said, if you know anyone between Fredonia, if that's part of their commute through Calhoun County along I-69, a loved one coming home from work right now, you need to give them a call and tell them to get off at the next exit and get to a gas station, a McDonald's, anything, and get to a bathroom, because this is possibly a confirmed tornado that's going to cross across I-69.
Right here. And this has a history. This has a history now. We saw the video of what it did on the southwest side of the Three Rivers. Now there's also been confirmation of it in Union City and over Union Lake. And so this does have a history. So this zone, you do not want to be on I-69 right here in the next 2 to 5 minutes, as this is going to be moving right over the interstate. Headed your way there, Clarendon Township. And then eventually, we've got our eyes on you there, Albion. So stay with us and stay alert in Albion, because if this continues to hold its structure and strength, then it will be threatening you here as we continue, if this continues to move up to the northeast. As Will mentioned earlier, it's sort of been interesting how it's sort of been followed right along M60 here. Mm-hmm. Ever since it came out of Cass County, we've been tracking this since Cass County. So this has been active for quite some time here, this cell, and it continues to be pretty strong. So that warning goes until 5:30 for a tornado warning for Calhoun County. An observed tornado seen by spotters on the ground around Union City, Union Lake, and now that cell is moving over I-69. Teconcha, actually, you're right in it right now, just moving over you right now, or will be moving over you soon in Teconcha. You need to be taking cover. If you're in Teconcha, if you're in Clarendon Township, Homer. If you're in Homer, you should be taking cover.
I'm just seeing there's multiple videos in our chime-in page. I'm sure we're going to work to get those, but there's one that I do see. It's clear as day, tornado as it was pushing over Union Lake. It looks like some folks stepped outside, saw it, and then they started to run back inside. So,
and that's the same cell, by the way, the same cell that has produced a damaging tornado in Three Rivers.
Yeah, so at least 2 tornadoes confirmed that we can report now. One in the Three Rivers area, and then another in and around Union City, Union Lake area. There was definitely a confirmed tornado. So this thing has a history. It's not, let's see. I'm just watching to see if there's any new reports.
As it runs up M60, again, with the history of the storm, it obviously has some staying power here. So if you're in Clarendon Township, you really need to be taking shelter. Because as this moves off to the northeast, there's no reason to believe, at this time anyway, that it couldn't drop another tornado, just like it did in Union City just a few moments ago. I believe it was 4:38, I think, is when you had that report or something like that.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes ago, so it's pretty fresh.
For all intents and purposes, we still could have a tornado on the ground.
Could be on the ground as it's about to go over I-69.
Yes.
And that's why Will had said, if you've got anybody who you know who might be on the highway there, that is not the place to be right now. By the way, this is all going on well south of New Marshall. There's no threat in Marshall from this.
Yes.
But in this polygon, there is a threat, a real threat in Teconcha, in Eckford, in Clarendon Township, and we'll have to see Albion. Got to keep an eye on you there. If you're in Albion right now, you definitely need to be paying attention, and you need to have 1 foot ready to go to your place of tornado safety here as we continue to monitor this, moving off to the northeast, running right along in 60. Hopefully everything was all right. We haven't heard of any kind of injuries, I don't think, in Three Rivers. Hopefully everyone's okay there, because the video that we saw just a few moments ago was pretty impressive.
Yeah, lots of debris. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of video of pretty significant debris getting lofted. Yeah, and to see that sort of damage, it was pretty notable right through the heart of Three Rivers.
Yeah, interesting to see, by the way, because the track of that not only went from that Menards, which it looks like from that video that we saw there, that it stayed just to the south of the mile.
Mhm.
But then it would have gone right there into the central business district of Three Rivers. So it'll be interesting to see if anything came of it, or hopefully maybe it lifted or something, didn't cause any problems there. We tracked it as well, right over the high school. Right over the Three Rivers High School, as it then made its way through Minden. I believe there was a report, right? Spotter report in Minden of a funnel.
Yeah.
And so this has a long history of producing funnel clouds, tornadoes, and damage now too. And Union City, Union Lake, and now to Concha, I-69, you're right under, I should say.
Yes. I'm working, Keith, to see if I can get a little creative here in a way to show some of the video, just
So
briefly.
you work on that and let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
And then we'll continue tracking this off to the northeast. Look, if you're in Clarendon Township, certainly if you're in Tecumseh, you got to get there now. If you're in Clarendon Township, you need to be headed to your place of safety. If you're in Eckford, if you're in Albion, you need to be thinking about it, because if it continues to move on this track with this strength, then it's going to be a threat for Albion south along M99, working its way toward Litchfield. What we have here, this is Branch County. Branch County, you're in the clear. No problem. Branch County in the clear. This is Southern Calhoun County. I'm moving over toward Eastern Calhoun County. This is Hillsdale County. Over here we have Jackson County. So as the system continues, or the cell continues to move to the northeast, Clarendon Township, you need to be in your shelter. Eckford, you need to be in your shelter. Albion, you need to be thinking really seriously about what you're going to do if things don't change here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. There's no indication right now that they will be changing, but they might. This is M99, comes out of Albion, go down toward Homer, for example. Look at you in Homer as well.
Let's take Max 1 if we can, Jim, in the control room. I wanted to show a video that was coming in from the Union Lake area. This one from Annette Pfeiffer, if we can get to that. Whenever you get the chance, Jim, I'm going to show it in full. This is just from our Chime In page. It's a vertical video that you should have in your source. Oh, you can actually go to Max 1. It's actually pulled up on Max 1 if you guys can. I'm not sure if you're seeing that on your end, but whenever you guys can, no rush. But that's...
This would be right here while they're prepping that. What we're talking about is when the cell was moving right in here, okay? That's when it was dropping another tornado, moving off to the northeast. And now it is bearing down on I-69. And basically, Jim, whenever you got it, just take it, and we'll take it from there. And then, so this is going to be running close to Clarendon Township, around M60 to the north. And then Albion, we've got our eyes on you too. So Clarendon Township definitely need to be taking cover right now. It is right over you in Tecumseh right now. It is right over I-69 right now, right over the interstate right now. And it does have a history. Okay, we'll go.
All right, so here's the video out of Union Lake, and you can see it's a little hard to see initially through the trees, but this is from Annette Pfeiffer, and you're going to see a funnel pretty evident and pretty classic looking rotation with that funnel shape and some debris off in the distance. So that was, from our knowledge, tornado number 2 today as it worked its way into Union City. And again, kind of a frantic video. We can go back to Max 2 now, but I just wanted to show that.
Yeah. That video sort of confirms what we were looking at there on the radar with that velocity pattern, which has maintained really its strength. I mean, it weakens at times, but Will, I know that we've seen this before, but we can't let our guard down because of a scan that seems to show it weakening. Because as this storm moves, by the way, it's not moving in a vacuum here. And as it moves into more conducive areas, for example, for strengthening, then it will strengthen. And so that's what we don't really know about. What is the atmosphere like over Clarendon right now? And over Albion? And over Eckford? And what's that going to do to the storm? So that's something that we have to keep in mind as we continue to watch this move off to the northeast.
Worth mentioning, Calhoun County Emergency Manager noting that none of their spotters in their network have spotted any sort of confirmed tornado. So that's good news. You know, it's not to say that this thing couldn't still produce a tornado, as it certainly has, but just the fact that we don't have any confirmed reports of a tornado in Calhoun County proper. The last time we know there was a tornado on the ground was when this was tracking right into Calhoun County in the Union City area.
Yeah, running right along M60, by the way. Now it looks like it's moved to the north just a little bit. Right over I-69.
Okay.
Right over I-69. Hope everyone is safe on the highway. You know, folks, there, you're driving down the highway and you see a thunderstorm, and if you don't have any way of being alerted, you don't know that you're driving right into the teeth of this.
Mm-hmm.
And now as it moves off to the east of I-69, Clarendon Township, you need to be taking cover. It looks like it's going to be running very close to you or maybe just to the north of you there on N60 as it heads toward N99. Albion still making a beeline in your direction. What will it look like when it gets here? We should know in just a few minutes, but if I were you in Albion, I would already have decided on what I'm going to do in the next 5 minutes.
Yep, exactly. There is some photos in our chime in page we might be able to share now. This is video from Three Rivers, and
Tornado debris in Three Rivers looking south
yes.
at about 3:50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm seeing additional photos and video in our chime in page of the tornado damage as well.
Oh, here's another, wow, okay. Thanks to Allison there for this, wow, there's some damage there, I would think this is on the south side of Three Rivers, not sure exactly.
Yeah, if we go to Max 2 really quickly, I don't know how easy that is for Derek, our director, to switch to, but have at least one of the photos of some of the hail that was associated with this storm as well. Max 1, my apologies. Max 1, if we could go there really quickly, just for a moment. So this is one of the hailstones that was in the Athens area, and that was exactly what we were touching on. Kind of the northern periphery of that cell was still producing some pretty large hail. We can go back to Max. Yeah, Max 2.
For that picture.
Max, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah. Getting Max's confused.
Yes.
All right, this is the cell right now. We still have this tornado warning. We are telling you right now in Clarendon Township, you need to be in your tornado shelter. If you're along and north of M60, between Clarendon and Eckford, you need to be taking cover. This is already moved over the interstate now, and very seriously, hope that it went over I-69 without anything happening.
There's an outage being reported at 7 Mile Road and H Drive South in Calhoun County. So at the very least, potentially some strong winds. Possibly that would have been, I'm trying to think where exactly that is, but that could have been maybe as it was lifting out of Union City.
Yep, moving out of Union City and toward Burlington. Now, Homer, for example, in the sites here, it looks like it's going to be headed right over you there in Homer. So Clarendon, then Homer, Eckford, those three. You need to be in your tornado shelter right now. Clarendon, Homer, Eckford. You need to be in your tornado shelter. Albion, you need to be thinking very hard about where you're going to be going in the next few minutes, because it looks to me like this is still maintaining some structure here. And
Still rotating,
it
that's
is
for
still
sure.
rotating, and it is still heading toward Albion. And you know, really, Albion, you're on the north, you're on the edge of that warning, but I think it'd be smart to go ahead and get to your shelter.
The rotation now is north of M60, pushing up towards Eckford, Clarendon as well. Let me get a cross street right there. That is, oh man, that's a hard one. 22.5 mile road. So tracking for 22.5 mile road.
And M60.
And M60, exactly. But now on the north side of M60, for a lot of its life, it was kind of tracking near or just south of M60. Now we're north of M60 as far as just a geographical point for where this rotation is currently based.
Can you track that and put us into Albion and see like
Yeah.
how much time?
Yeah.
It's not going to be more than a few minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is 30 seconds away from 5 o'clock right now.
Yeah. It's lost a little bit of its structure as well.
Yeah, it does look that way. Reflectivity though is still pretty strong.
Yeah.
Coming into Clarendon. So Clarendon, Homer, Eckford, you need to be in your storm shelter. Albion, you need to be thinking about it because you only have a few minutes before this will make it there. I'm assuming this is moving to the northeast at about 45.
It's 35.
35, so
Yeah.
slow.
Not, yeah, as far as thunderstorms go, 35, I would say kind of slow to medium pace. We can sometimes see these going 50, 60 miles an hour. So
So between Clarendon and Concord there, we'll just have to do the math. So it's 502 to 521.
Oh yeah, it does.
So we'll put it in about 10 minutes. I would say no more than 10 minutes. It's going to be in the vicinity of Albion. If not over Albion proper and I-94, by the way, then just south of Albion, and you need to be taking precautions there. So if you're in Albion, if you're south of Albion, you are in the warning zone. You are in the tornado warning. If you're in Calhoun County, just on the west side there of that Calhoun-Jackson County line, then you should be in your tornado shelter as this is moving to the northeast. And as Will noted, it does look like it's losing some of the structure. You know, as it gets out wider, just to show you, this is the only game in town right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only thing that's happening.
So a few more cells popping up. This one's very weak, very small. We'll keep an eye on that just in case. But I'm not overly concerned with that because that's in an environment that just had this storm kind of go through.
I would say though, if you're in the Three Rivers area and you're out with some debris and you're trying to do some cleanup, our lightning detector does show that there's some light in there.
Yeah, that
So
is worth mentioning. You're right,
you
Keith.
definitely, if you see that lightning, you hear thunder, you need to stop what you're doing and go inside.
Yeah.
And let this cell go by.
Yep, just wait it out.
So here it is now.
Updated severe thunderstorm warning. I think they're just trimming it down a little bit, Keith.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah, that's for primarily, again, the hail associated with this, which we saw that video or the images of the hail sent.
Just to the north of our tornado warning line there, which runs through Eckford to Albion.
Yes.
Looks like it's going to scoop between Clarendon and Eckford, and then heading your way there in Albion. We showed you just a few moments ago, probably by 10 minutes after 5. It's almost 5:02, so you've got maybe 7-8 minutes before this is going to be in Albion. It does look to me like it's continuing to sort of lose the structure a little bit, although I don't know, the reflectivity still sort of shows.
Yeah, it still looks like it's definitely hailing in the northern part of that cell. However, the rotation isn't quite as tight as it was. It's also lost a little bit of that hook signature. That being said, there is still some broad rotation that's going to push up, like you were saying, Keith, between Eckford and Clarendon. And just on the northeast side of Teconcha right now, tracked across I-69, and then up to the south part of Albion especially. Just be on guard. And these storms really can, as we saw, this initial tornado warning we saw a few hours ago, Keith, at this point, it was within a couple scans, all of a sudden things tightened up. And
Right.
that's what prompted the tornado warning initially down in Cass County. And then that's what eventually tracked into the Three Rivers area.
Well, you know, Will had mentioned this is riding along a warm front, which is pushing through. And so there's still some energy out there, and I think that's the unknown, is what will happen with this cell when it encounters maybe something that gives it a little more juice. And that's why we cannot let our guard down, even though it's losing some of the structure. And the tornado warning, by the way, is still active.
Yeah.
In Eckford, for example.
That's a good hail core right on top of Eckford right now. I'm sure people are getting hailed on in Eckford right now.
And that would be right over 22.5 mile there, just to the south of Eckford.
Yeah.
Running down toward, I think, 60. And this is all heading your way there in Albion. All heading your way in Albion. And also, eventually, probably crossing over I-94. Which will make it the second interstate that is crossed if it continues moving on that path as it moves off to the northeast. And as Will said, it's moving at about 35 miles per hour.
Really quickly, I just want to see if any of these are updated, Keith. So looks like, yeah, we're getting the updated tornado reports, which is what we've already been saying. However, there's the confirmed tornado reports in the Three Rivers area that you see there, 2 reports at least. And of course, we've seen the damage in video for ourselves. And then this was the secondary tornado this storm put down, at least one other tornado that was observed, which was in and around the Union City area. It went near Union Lake, which we saw that video just a few moments ago.
Yes.
Possibly even clipping the southern part of Calhoun County, a little east of Athens. And then there's a hail report that you saw. I believe that might even be the same viewer report. That one looks a little smaller, about a half an inch. That the viewer photo we had earlier looked to me at least an inch in diameter.
Yeah, I would say so. Like an inch for sure.
So we'll hop back over to radar, but I just
Now,
wanted
as
to
the
show
storm
that.
continues to move to the east, you see Will's got it in motion. It is Albion, you're next.
Yeah.
It is-
Definitely losing some of its classic supercell shape to it on radar.
Yeah.
It's looking more like just a big dot, and less like a kidney bean, or has that that hook shape that we always look for.
Yeah. So if you are between Clarendon and Eckford, it's right over you. M99 running from Albion south to M60, that's next up.
And Homer,
And
we should
Homer.
mention,
Yeah, it's Homer. Mention Homer. It's a right now, right in your vicinity, right in your neighborhood there at home.
Yeah, for some reason Homer's not popping up on the map.
Should be, yeah, just to the northeast of Clarendon there, right along I-60, right there at 23 Mile Road. So that's what we're looking at there, or actually just to the east of 23 Mile Road there.
Yeah.
Is where Homer is. And so, yeah, right there. And so if you're in Homer, you need to be taking cover. If you're between Homer and Eckford, if you're near N99, between Albion and N60, or N66, I should say, or N60, you should be taking cover.
No new reports coming in from the National Weather Service from emergency managers of any sort of damage or confirmed tornado with this cell at this time. So just wanted to mention
I think
that.
if this doesn't show anything intensifying here, certainly by 5:30, they'll probably
I would think.
let it go. But between now and then, it is going to be making its way toward you there in Albion. So I think especially on the south side of Albion, south down N99, it'd be a good idea to be taking cover. And certainly if you're around Homer and Clarendon right now, it is right in your vicinity right now, and especially there, right around Homer.
A few other cells starting to pop up too. None of these look nearly as significant, but just something that we'll start to have to watch in the coming hours. We're still in an environment, really the next several hours. Our window was late this afternoon through about probably 10, 11 o'clock tonight for our best chance of some severe storms. And these storms for the next several hours could pose kind of what we call an all hazards threat. So hail, wind, and isolated tornadoes. Those are all on the table. We've certainly seen that today. But there's another line that will blow through early tomorrow morning that could produce some gusty winds. But really, we all just need to be weather aware. We could see some further development of thunderstorms, especially this line off to our west. As that starts to move in here in another couple hours, if we start to see some embedded rotation within that, that could lead to another round. So my point is, after this initial cell that we've been tracking for the last several hours moves out, we can't give an all clear yet. We're still going to have to be weather aware for the next several hours.
And I think one thing that's important to note about this, this really sort of looked innocuous there when it was coming into Cass County. And it was like, oh, look at this, we've got a little cell. And then it started to show more and more strength and more signature rotation there. And that's the cell that eventually went into Three Rivers, out of Three Rivers, over Union City, over Union Lake, and now making its way toward Albion.
All right, I think we have live pictures coming out of Three Rivers.
Right.
Yeah, so we can go boxes. So this is some of the damage from the Three Rivers area. Looks like some pretty significant tree damage there.
And so these are live shots that are coming back to us right now. And it looks like from the video that we got a little bit earlier, and thanks to Lindsay for that, of the debris coming from the Menards roof and the Menards storage area that they have there. This is consistent with that. This is some big wind.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of damage here. Do we know what side or an address here at Three Rivers or what road we're on here? Grant Street. Okay, so this is Grant Street in Three Rivers. We tracked this. Oh, there we go. This is the corner of Millard and Spring. Millard and Spring Street. Thanks for that. Perfect. Thank you so much. Millard and Spring Street there. Branches down, whole trees down, mature trees turned over. And so you can imagine here we see power lines down. We saw that video earlier from the Menards store where there was a lot of debris. It looked like the roof might have been coming up. And so this is obviously a tremendously strong storm, which by the way, you see on the left side of the screen there, where it is right now. If we see that live shot there, it's now between Clarendon and Eckford. It is heading toward N99. Homer, it is in your vicinity. I'd say if you're north of Homer, between Homer and Eckford, you should be taking cover. You probably got some big time hail approaching you there on the southwest side of Albion. This is going to be moving through Albion soon. Those live pictures were crazy, incredible to show the strength of that wind that was coming through with that tornado that was seen by spotters, and now on video, and now we have those live scenes that were coming in there from parts of Three Rivers. We were at the corner of Millard and Spring, Millard and Spring, seeing the damage there. I mean, tremendous trees that were turned over, that were ripped up out of the ground. So obviously power is out in that vicinity. Will right now is tracking what we have left of it. It does look to be weakening.
It's definitely
Quite a bit.
weaker. It's
Yeah.
not to say it can't,
Right.
pick back up. These are, the analogy sometimes I use like a top spinning on the table, right? The storm is just kind of spinning, and certain times it's like the atmosphere just comes along and gives it another little spin, right, after it weakens. So it's definitely not as impressive as it was, which is a good sign if you're in this portion of Calhoun County where the warning is still located through 5:30. But crossing M99, there's a broad area of rotation, and it is notably weaker than it was, which is good. And also, what we were talking about a little earlier is this definitely doesn't have that classic hook signature that it did a little earlier.
Our Tyler Brummett is live right now in Three Rivers with an on-the-ground report. So let's go to him. Tyler, what are you seeing now? Yeah. Okay, Tyler, thank you so much for that report. Thanks to Rhonda as well. Our thoughts with them. I noticed that when we saw some of the live pictures there, Tyler, that people looked like they were walking around dazed, which I can only imagine what it would be like to, like Rhonda said there, your yard is now full of these old trees. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for giving us that on the ground report there live. By the way, if you're wondering where Tyler is, he's near Skidmore Park. This is just southwest of the Central Business District in Three Rivers. And by the way, it is northeast of the Menards that we showed a little bit earlier, thanks to Lindsay with that video that showed what looked like the roof coming off there, certainly some structural damage. And it looked like that Menards storage area there where they have some storage units. That is at the intersection of M60 and US 131. It looked like that was being leveled, not leveled necessarily, but certainly had some damage done. This is where Tyler is right now at the corner of Millard and Spring there. It's just near Skidmore Park. It is just on the west side of the river there, cutting through Three Rivers. And so that would be on that northeast track of the damage there. Will, can you update us on the storm?
Yeah, it's still showing some signs of weakening. That being said, National Weather Service cautions it remains a dangerous storm. Still has the potential for some gusty winds, hail up to an inch. It does sound like there was a spotter near Albion on I-94 looking south who said that they could see rotation. And not surprising to me, we don't have any reports of a funnel or a tornado or anything like that, but there is some broad rotation still within this thunderstorm, so I'm not surprised to hear that. If there was some rotation, it's probably tracking very close to the M60, M99 intersection south of Albion, so that would make sense as to why that spotter saw the rotation looking south from I-94. This will be pushing into Jackson County, though, technically out of our viewing area within the next 15 minutes.
And by the way, just like we had said, if you know some folks who are driving along I-69 near Tecumseh, we told you that earlier. Now we would say, if you know some folks who are maybe taking a trip on I-94, commuting to or from work, or headed toward Detroit or back from Detroit, headed toward Marshall, for example, just let them know that there's going to be some very active weather as they approach the Jackson County line. We are tracking that cell down here. The reason I want to keep an eye on that is just because, as we just showed you there, live on the ground, Tyler and Patrick there giving us some live scenes from Three Rivers. And no doubt folks there are now trying to assess what are we going to do next.
It's another cell near Marshall that's just starting to flare up.
With some lightning right here too. So we want to be aware that lightning, of course, is a present danger with some of these storms. It doesn't look like there's anything menacing with this cell over Marshall right now.
Yeah, early stages for sure.
And so for now, it looks like the threat is going to be moving very shortly out of Calhoun County and into Jackson County, where you can see the National Weather Service, by the way, has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is a signal to us from the Weather Service meteorologists there that they're anticipating that this will lose its tornado threat and become more of a likely hail threat, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and if you're up in Holland or the Saugatuck area, there is some storms moving in, maybe some wind gusts up to like 40 miles an hour with that, but nothing severe. But we will have to watch this line. We were mentioning this a little earlier, Keith. This initial cell that is still tornado warned, once this exits, we will then turn our attention to any sort of additional cells that are popping up. But more importantly, this line off to the west, as this moves in, might pose a wind, hail, and even isolated tornado threat as well.
So it could be a busy evening, or it could not be. I'm hoping, of course, and I know that Will would agree that it's not. But this has been certainly an early introduction. And just a reminder, this was just an isolated cell here. As Will showed you a little bit earlier, it's that line that's coming in here later on that we'll have to keep an eye on as well as we continue to track these storms here moving off to the northeast. We're in our news time right now as we continue to track these storms northeastward. And I do believe that we're going to be bringing you some news coverage as well of the tornado. We talked to Tyler a little bit earlier, live in Three Rivers. And so with the threat starting to diminish for our area as this moves now south of Albion and into western Jackson County, where it looks like the main threat there is going to be from some large hail. But again, we're going to keep an eye on that system as well. And as Will noted, that storm that's right over Marshall right now, we'll have to keep an eye on that as well to see if it's going to be getting any stronger. I don't know if you've seen any other storm reports, Will?
No, I'm looking. There are some outages I will mention in and around East Leroy, Athens area. We mentioned that a little earlier. And I'm working on pulling up the Consumers Energy outage map and the Indiana-Michigan power outage map. Looks like pretty significant outage there in southern Calhoun County, as mentioned. Not shocking. That's likely where the tornado touched down as it lifted into southernmost Calhoun County on the north side of Union City. It looks like it took out power for a good few thousand customers. So that is worth mentioning. I will say this storm, like I said, continues to show some signs of weakening, so that is good. And it now looks like our tornado warning has been dropped on it as a result. So no active tornado warning on this cell anymore. This is pushing off into Jackson County, where a warning continues through 6:15 p.m. We also have another cell that we'll just continue to monitor. Right now, nothing too menacing, but right over the Marshall area, some heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds too. But there is still a favorable environment for some additional strong to severe storms later this evening. So we don't want you to have your guard down. We want you to stay weather aware the next several hours.
And right now we are preparing to get our news crews ready to go because we We do have some coverage of what has been going on in Three Rivers, for example, as our Tyler Brummett showed you just a little bit earlier on the ground live in Three Rivers, moments after that tornado went through there, and what the folks there are now having to deal with on their Friday evening, and that is a massive cleanup. And that was just in that neighborhood, which is just to the west of Skidmore Park. If you're in downtown Three Rivers, if you're from Three Rivers, you've been in Three Rivers, you know Skidmore Park, right there close to the river, just to the southwest of town. And by the way, on a northeast trajectory from that Meyer that we were, not the Meyer, the Menards that we were telling you about, which is there at the intersection of M60 and US 131. Well, that cell continued moving to the northeast, and as it did, dropped another tornado right around Union City and Union Lake. Thanks to the folks who sent us the video on that, on Chime In to help us tell the story. Also, the picture of hail, golf ball size hail, I believe it was, looked like it was golf ball size hail, from Athens, from the Athens area. And thanks to Amber, who provided that photograph there. Look, here's the track. We started noticing this back here in southern Cass County.
Yeah.
And this is M60, and it sort of is uncanny how it just went right along the highway there. Just in that path right there. They're dropping a tornado here in southern Cass County, definitely putting down a tornado here with some substantial damage in Three Rivers, dropping another tornado right here in Union City and Union Lake, right on the border there with Cass and Branch County, then going over to Concha, and now making its way over toward Albion, but apparently weakening as it made that path. And so for the folks in Jackson County, I would say that you still need to stay on guard. Because this could strengthen yet again. But you can definitely see one cell, by the way, same cell, just running right along, as Will, I think, correctly says, running right along that warm front, tapping into that energy that was right along that one warm front. And that's what gave it the fuel to do. And now, right now, as you can see, we're watching this line of thunderstorms.
Yeah, not severe at this time.
Not severe right now.
But it is still going to move into a somewhat untapped environment, especially across portions of, say, Van Buren County, Berrien and Cass counties, up into Allegan County. There's a region in here where there's going to be some decent ingredients for severe storms, so it'll be interesting as this translates a little farther east. If it can tap into some of those ingredients, we could have some embedded, rotating parts of that line.
Yeah, and so in the meantime, like I said, we're going to be bringing you the stories of the folks who are on the ground right now in Three Rivers doing the cleanup, while at the same time keeping an eye on these storms here that are moving in to the holiday. It looks like a couple of cells right around Three Rivers. You know, about 15 minutes ago I mentioned that because I do want the folks who are in Three Rivers to remember that if you see lightning, if you hear thunder, you need to stop what you're doing and get inside. Even though it's not severe, still lightning is the threat. And with a lot of folks who are going to be outside, we have a later daylight right now. With folks being outside, you definitely want to still keep your wits about you when it comes to the threat for being outside whenever there's lightning. But you can see what we're tracking next. These storms, as Will said, this is still a favorable environment for the formation of thunderstorms, some of them could be strong. And just a reminder, this is all happening in what was considered to be a marginal risk area. So I think it's a good reminder that whenever we do have that threat, even though sometimes it seems to be a small threat, we need to always be on guard. We need to always be ready for action in this particular case. As the storm is now pretty much moving into Jackson County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, we had at least, for sure, 2 tornadoes. I'm not as well versed with that Cass County possible touchdown, but it sounds like potentially 3 tornadoes to kick off our severe weather season here in West Michigan.
Yeah, I didn't see any report coming out of northwestern Indiana. It looks like, well, I will say this, if you see over toward Gary, it looks like there's a thunderstorm warning for some cells that are coming there.
Yep, and that's what we're going to be on guard for here in a few hours. Models earlier in the day were indicating a pretty significant flare-up of storms between maybe about 7 and 10 p.m., so we'll have to continue to monitor that.
And we will keep an eye on that too. And of course, that will be part of our coverage here of the storm damage that's already been noted, as we do have crews right now in the Three Rivers area. As for now, Three Rivers definitely looks like it got hit pretty hard. And we'll have to wait and see about any other areas we saw, Union Lake, Union City. We'll have to see what comes out of there. And there might still be some other areas that we just haven't heard from yet that are in between those communities. And so that's what we're going to keep an eye on. All right, our live team weather coverage of the storm will continue here. This video, just shot a short time ago. near the Menards in Three Rivers. And that, of course, took a direct hit from the tornado. And so we're getting calls and videos and photos and more with crews in that area right now to survey the damage. We're talking with folks who just experienced that tornado on the ground. And
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Will. We've got several crews out near the Three Rivers area at this hour. After those storms tore through this afternoon, we begin with News Channel 3 reporter Tyler Brummett, who is in Three Rivers. Tyler, what are you seeing where you are?
Andrew, what we're seeing here is just far around a lot of devastation. One kind of video of the land right here.
Good job, guys.
thank you.
Thanks. Oh no. I'm gonna go wrap up the live stream.
Okay. I'm going to stay up here. Good job.
Thanks. You too. Hey there, everybody. If you can still hear me, I'll talk to you in just a second. All right. Hey there, everybody. Back in our digital studio. Meteorologist Will Hayne here. Apologies if it was a little hard to hear at times. Hopefully you were using our live stream and our TV in tandem. We were on air for those tornado warnings. I want to confirm my microphone is off. I am going to wrap this stream up because there's no active alerts right now. We're going to kind of continue to gather as much information as we can. However, there's, I think, a pretty good chance we're going to be back on another stream here later tonight because that line that you're seeing there off in over Lake Michigan is going to continue to track farther east and still will pose a limited severe weather threat. So just to conclude, in case you are just tuning in by chance, at least 2 confirmed tornadoes touched down based on video and spotter reports. First one in Three Rivers was, I believe, around 3:50 in the afternoon. Pretty significant damage being reported right through the shopping corridor, the downtown area of Three Rivers. The Menards took a direct hit. Saw some photos and video of that. So we have not had any reports of injuries at this time. It's still a little early for that. We will continue to follow up. We have multiple crews headed to Three Rivers and then another crew headed to Union City, which is where we had a second tornado that touched down, I believe, right around 4. Let me see what time that was. I believe that was like 4. Why is this not working? Hold on. I think it was about 4:38 or 4:50. I can't remember which time specifically. But we are going to, like I said, kind of gather ourselves here for the next little bit before another possible round in just a little bit. So 2 tornadoes touched down. First one did pretty significant damage, Three Rivers around 350. The second one in and around Union Lake and Union City, closer to about 3:38 p.m. So I'm putting that out right now, and I'll be sharing some of the photos and video that we've gotten into our Chime In page. We appreciate all of you for sticking with us. We don't take that trust lightly, and we really appreciate it. And we hope you can continue to stay updated as we go into the later evening hours. We still do have some cells kind of percolating there. If you're in Three Rivers, there was a cell a little north of you. Looks like maybe through the Schoolcraft area. But nothing severe right now as far as in our viewing area. There is still a severe thunderstorm warning in Jackson County, but our attention is really going to shift to that line that you see tracking across Lake Michigan as that moves in, might exhibit a little bit of rotation components with it. So I'm going to go prep some stuff for our newscast. We are live on Channel 3, so you can follow our continuing team coverage there. We have live pictures from some of these damaged areas. And like I said, we'll keep you updated as new warnings are issued later. There's a decent chance we'll be on another one of these before it's all said and done later this evening. All right, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And if you are affected by any of these tornadoes, I'm so sorry. And I'm certainly thinking of you. And I hope that we can continue to clean up. And Three Rivers especially, we will rebuild and we'll get through it. All right.